Okay, finally, we have the gallery, we have the workflow, everything is in place for us to write the interpreter. We're going to delegate the hard work of image processing to an incredible open source and cross-platform program called ImageMagick, which just turned 35 years old last month. Let me tell you, I dream of creating something that lasts that long. First step, we need a way to execute another program. We could use Node.js's exec file, but that takes a callback and it's a little bit harder to use. But we could use Node.js's promisify function, which converts a function that expects a callback into a function that returns a promise. Then we must check to make sure that ImageMagick is installed on the system and find out under which name, because between version 6 and 7, and depending on the platform, whether it's Windows or Linux or Mac, the command for ImageMagick may be different. Then we write a helper function that runs ImageMagick to completion with the given arguments and returns its output. We want the workflow to be executed on each image one by one. So first we read all the image files from the given directory, and then write a separate function for running the workflow on each individual image. The algorithm is very simple. It's basically just walking over the graph. We have a variable called the current node that is initialized to the starting node. While there is a current node, first perform the action for the current node, whatever it may be, and then follow the first edge out of the current node to find the next node. Repeat until there is no next node. Our starting node is the one whose template ID is a start. For each node, we switch on its template ID to handle each one separately. I'm going to copy paste all the cases for our workflow template and let's go through them one by one. The simplest one is the start case. Just go to the next node. But finding the next node using the data structure that we have is a little bit difficult, because we'd have to go through all the edges to find out which one starts at the given node. And we have to do that every time. Instead, we could do that once by creating a data structure called the adjacency lists that, given a node ID, it'll give us all the edges coming out of that node. Since the workflow itself doesn't change here, we can do this just once at the top, and it'll make finding the next node as simple as a couple of lines. We'll come back to the conditions in a moment. For the resize operation, we execute ImageMagick on the given image path with the appropriate arguments for resizing, and then save the results back to the same file, overwriting it. That's the entire action for that node. And then we go to the next node. We do the same for crop, rotate, blur, brightness and contrast, padding, watermark, and the sepia effect. They all follow the same pattern. ImageMagick has hundreds of operations with countless options that you may add to the workflow template and the interpreter. The conditions are a little bit more complicated. First, we execute ImageMagick to output the data we are looking for. For example, here we are telling ImageMagick to calculate the width of the image divided by its height. That gives us the aspect ratio of the image in a scale of 0 to 1. Then we take that from the output, which is always a string, and parse it as a number. Now we have the aspect ratio of the image. But remember that we have to compare it to the given value using the given operator. Let's write a little function for that, which takes two numbers and an operator to compare them with and returns a boolean. So now we know if this condition is true or false, and we should find the next node based on that. That is, if the condition is true, find the edge coming out of that node whose title is yes, otherwise find the edge whose title is no. The brightness condition is implemented in the same way. There are just a couple of minor adjustments we need to make here, and that's all there is to it. If we now go ahead and drop a bunch of images here and press run, it runs this entire workflow on every image and refresh the gallery. As you can see, they're all resized to squares of size 600 by 600, conditionally brightened, watermarked, padded in black, and made to look like old photos.